The Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area.
There is a disturbing development creeping up in Ghana, and every well-meaning Ghanaian will have to sit up and grant me your attention for just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. A man born in Nigeria who settled in Ghana some decades ago and over time became well-respected leader among his tribesmen has now set up a kingdom for himself in our country, ladies and gentlemen. He is an Igbo man bearing the title Eze Chukudi Ihenetu. I hope I'm saying it right. He has the title Eze in the Igbo Ghana, which translates King of Igbo people in Ghana. His tribesmen in Ghana crowned him this position and the title in 2012. And these are his images, ladies and gentlemen. A very fine gentleman whom we are told is married to a Ghanaian. And as a typical Ghanaian, ladies and gentlemen, I have no problem with that at all. But many people, including myself, will have a problem with anyone or any situation that has the potential to undermine our sovereignty as a republic. What has made our country livable for all people for many years is our hospitality towards one another and to foreigners, ladies and gentlemen. And that cannot be circumvented by any external tribe nor group of people. Ghana has a common chieftaincy practice of installing foreigners as development chiefs for the purpose of providing value to our local communities. This is a typical thing in Ghana. And hence, I thought what this man and his tribesmen were doing was something in line of that. Until, ladies and gentlemen, I read from an internet publication that they, and I mean the Igbo people, or he as a king in Ghana, has acquired acres of lands to build an Igbo town and establish an Igbo kingdom within Ghana. This is where I became disturbed, even though I'm yet to see any substantive evidence for this acquisition. That would be totally unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. Fellow Ghanaians, I want to believe this is a falsified story. But if not, this is not something we should entertain or allow to continue. Ghana is a sovereign country alongside our kings and our chiefs. They are called kings and chiefs for historical reasons. They have fought and protected their lands and been the source of the unity of our people till this modern era. It is not a title given out of charity, ladies and gentlemen. There is a meaning and a story behind every stool or throne in Ghana. There is a story behind every stool, land, and family lineage that authenticates the royalty of our kings and chiefs. These institutions are not to be toyed with nor replicated in any shape or form, ladies and gentlemen. People have fought and died in the protection of their clans and tribes and lands in Ghana. It used to be our system of governance before the colonizers came in and therefore should be respected whether by foreigners or locals, ladies and gentlemen. What is happening with this self-acclaimed king of Igbos in Ghana, if true, will be a direct infringement on our chieftaincy structure and the sovereignty of our country as a whole. This cannot happen in any other region outside of Accra and even in Nigeria. Can this even happen in Ashanti region, ladies and gentlemen, or any of the northern regions? In fact, this shouldn't happen in any other country and shouldn't happen for that matter in Ghana. The Igbo people of Biafra need a king and true leadership in these times of struggle for an Igbo nation. That cannot be done in a strange land. What this man is trying to do in Ghana will undermine his own people's effort for freedom from Nigeria. And I don't think his intention is to create a kingdom here in Ghana and move his people along. If he indeed has the resources and the know-how to lead his people, this is the time to stand up strong for your people in Abia and Anambra and Ebonyi and Enugu and in Imo states in Nigeria. Biafra is at crossroads with the federal government of Nigeria, and we as Ghanaians don't want to meddle in that. To be crowned a king is not simply by an election. It must be tied to the lineage of your family, the land of your tribe or family, the historical achievements or significance of your family name in relation to the community you lead, ladies and gentlemen. You don't just blip on the radar in a community that has its own leadership structure and annex your throne to theirs, ladies and gentlemen. That is not how it's done, and doesn't make you a king nor a leader. And one reason we have to make this topical is because of how politicians relate with them. During the times of the formal government or the president, this man was seen, invited, and associated with the leadership of our country. And before the elections were held last year, he paid a visit to our current president. This is what he has used to gain for himself the popularity and the needed attention, ladies and gentlemen. But that's definitely not what Ghana needs at this time. We are not in need of more kings and chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. We have a diplomatic relationship with Nigeria, and that should be observed. The idea of our immigration officers inviting him and working with him is not going to be a healthy thing for Ghana and Nigeria's relationship in the long run. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to pay attention to all these. Nigeria has a high commissioner in Ghana. He is the representation of Nigerian government in Ghana. He is the one to be consulted or engaged on whatever the issues may be. Ladies and gentlemen, we the people of Ghana must be vigilant with the happenings in our country. We have come a long way with our differences, and that shouldn't be undermined under any circumstance. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome people from every part of Africa and the world to our country, because that is who we are as a people. We are inherently peaceful people who just want to go about our business and live in peace with all men. We have what many African countries never had. We are one of the few African countries that has never experienced a civil war since independence, and we've had a stable democracy in the last 33 years. We have successfully seen the transition of political powers in that time frame, ladies and gentlemen, and we cannot be naive of the threats to these achievements. There is absolutely no need nor room for an Igbo king of Ghana or Yoruba king of Ghana or any sort of king on our land. How does it even work, ladies and gentlemen? Does it mean we will have to resort to him when an Igbo person is at loggerheads with our laws or not? That cannot be, because no Nigerian travels to Ghana or to any country on a passport issued by an Igbo state. It is Nigeria we deal with, and should remain so until there is a country called Igbo. Nigeria is a friend and a strategic partner of Ghana, and that is how far it should go. A similar thing was happening in the Adan area in the Greater Accra region, when a group of Lebanese people bought lands and wanted to build a Lebanese community that will prohibit Ghanaians from accessing it, ladies and gentlemen. They likewise wanted a town and a system for themselves within Ghana. Could that ever happen in Lebanon or in Nigeria for Ghanaians under any circumstance, ladies and gentlemen? Let's be guided and not be naive. What then becomes of our originality should that happen on our soil? It is true that historically, the Ga tribe originated from an Igbo community in Nigeria, but those who actually migrated left for a reason and chose to stay and not return. They have since then installed their own kings and chiefs at this point and contributed significantly to our nation's building. The Ga tribe in Ghana live a...
The Igbo of Ghana. I have heard about it where Ghanaians are making a comment about this man bought vast of land and started building it there. It's like we want to create a land for Igbo people. And according to the guy that I listened from Ghana, said that this is how some people from foreign country want to carve it for themselves in that area where it's only people from their side will be allowed in that place. What do you want to say about this thing? Creating a particular community for yourself in another man's country. How do you think?
Yes, I do not think that the law of Ghana and the culture allows that. The government of Ghana, constitutionally, even though we are hearing that the man has been in Ghana for the past 30 years and become a very successful man.
Yes,
married a Ghanaian woman.
Yes.
And has lived there over his life, that he has gained recognition from every president that come at every era. Just like what we see happens in Dangote, whatever, Dangote have so many these things. But the fear is that, the man is not bringing Ruga, the man is not bringing arms, the man is not bringing anything that is a threat to Ghanaian people. But it's just that, do Ghana law actually allow that? Or is there anything they are saying? Because, see, the fear of dominance is a very big problem. Not only that, there are seemingly Igbo communities there in Ghana, but a lot of people know that silently there are Igbo communities, pure Igbo communities. Just like where you go to Omahia now, or somewhere you say Hausa community, you go to Igbo, you go to Agege, you say Sabo, you go to, you understand? But then, why did they actually single that out for a scenario? Because this man has contributed so much to the economy. In fact, he has come to identify Ghana as his home. But it's left for the government. Because people are saying that he might have compromised, he might have used his influence with the government, and they have allowed that it is not okay. The Ghanaian law does not allow that. That they should also go and see how they are going to build a Igbo, how they are going to develop. Talk about Biafra, even though they do not understand much. But if you go to Ghana today, they knew. And I was surprised they were mentioning that these people they call Igbos, that are Biafrans, and they are seeking to. Yes, that is correct.
Yes, the man even mentioned about Biafra. He did mention Biafra, that you please go and join them to fight for Biafra. Don't come and build Igbo land in Ghana. Go and build it in Nigeria. Go and fight for Biafra. Do you agree with that man, that influential man like that can join in the effort of Nnamdi to look for emancipation of Biafra?
The question is that they saw it as a threat.
Yeah.
They are not looking at the economy. They are looking at the future that this might bring an Igbo community, entire Igbo community in Ghana. But it happens in other places. It happens. Even in Biafran land, we have Hausa community, strictly Hausas. So I don't know how they want to enjoy it. As long as you are living peaceful within those people. But that is unfair. But the kind of sentiment people have when they talk about Igbo is always, fierce.
Yes. But why is it like that? Why is it always be that
everywhere? But we have China village in Nigeria. If you go to America, you see a place that is named after Yorubas, only Yorubas. You understand? Are you telling me that if somebody like Brigade comes now that he want to establish American community in Ghana, they will not allow it?
But, you understand? I'm surprised because the man want to buy the land. He didn't. Hijack it. He didn't grab the land from anybody. He want to buy land.
The international law of property allows you to own it. That's why people can go anywhere. You can't tell me that because Atiku owes majority of investment in, and let me just put it that way, for instance, in Dubai, and you say that it's I want to take over Dubai. But I'm telling you that this sentiment, and remember also that there has been this direct attack on Igbo businesses in Ghana. Not now. Number of times their shops has been shut down. They are being imposed a lot of things, even levy, taxes, and they will get up and still pay. So the growing. Look at what is happening in South Africa. The same Igbo people. So the sentiment, the fear. I don't know why, but it is not real.
But why are they always afraid of Igbo dominance? Because even from the 60s, Amadou Bello make that accusation that Igbo people, they like to take advantage, they like dominating every place you give them they take advantage. Why is it like that? Why everybody usually accuse Igbo of that thing?
Yes, then does it resort to taking of lives? Does it trigger killing? Does it trigger humanity? Does it contribute to humanity? Does it make the world a global viable economy? I remember what Buhari said that Shetima repeated when he visited Alex Oti in Abia State. He made it very clear that the Igbo people are mobile economy. I don't know whether people understand what it means. Somebody is a mobile economy. How did they get there? And what is it all about? Is that it's just like the Chinese. I'm not saying we are China. We are not China. The Igbos are not China anyway. But they were able to establish a certain network whereby possibly most of them does not know how they suddenly become rich. Because I remember immediately after the war, my father said they were picking nylon on the street. How did nylon? From nylon, they started carrying this thing on their shoulder. There's this thing that look like tailor. There's a sewing machine. That's what they do. After some time, you see, those things are no more. Does that mean what it tells you that a Igbo man is averagely a struggling spirit, a very resilient spirit.
So how does that one? How they now misinterpret it to dominance? Is Igbo do they have dominant spirit?
Well, they ask you a question. Why did the entire Europe went against the Jews? That is it. Why did Hitler wake up one day and said he must kill all the Jews in the world? The Jews did not fight him, but because he discovered that 70% of inventions, money, whatever you call it, as at that time, are either founded or being led by the Jews. Please understand it very clearly. So the statement is that who are these people? Okay, let me tell you. Do you know up to now that the Jews still control the World Bank? But you cannot. Yes, up to now. They control the New York Stock Exchange. They control the Walmart. They control one powerful from. They control Germany. They control where? Okay, let me give you.
There's so many in Russia.
No, yes, let me give you. It's not what Putin said. You see, he be hearing about Miss Bushi.
Yeah.
Miss Bushi. Mercedes and all these names in those days, go and do your findings and find out who are the real founders of those companies. They are all Jews. And for an average Igbo man believes that he need to survive. I know what survival is all about. It carries a lot of things. So, just suicide mission. So it tells you that it didn't even start from now or after the war or before the war. This is something that they came with that is found in their DNA. And if you tell them how many they came to tell, they won't be able to tell you.
And that's what makes the whole world to be fear them. That
yes. Even when Ahmadu Bello, I listened to that interview by Ahmadu Bello, I was saying that. But I can tell you, as at that time, do you know what they were doing? Because of their resilient nature, they can come to your place and pick cotton and go and they wouldn't mind trekking from here to the north to sell that cotton or to find a market for that cotton. And if they do it, and after some time, you saw them, transform it. Okay, look at Chisco, a multi-billion-dollar transport company. He was a conductor in Kano. He was a conductor. Then how did he manage? He said after the conductor, he saved and was able to buy one korope or whatever, and started from that korope, and before you know it, he bought out, and before you know it, and that was it.
In conclusion, maybe this is why Britain observes the potential of Igbo, and they make sure that they arrange one kangaroo and put everybody together, so make sure that they checkmate the development.
Yes, it is not as he paid them. It has backfired now. Maybe they never believed that a time will come where we have access to information. People are having access to information, and they are questioning that Britain actually committed crime. See, the black nation is rising. Ogalif does things. They are going to return back to where they come from, irrespective of don't want to know whether they have all gone to the moon. The Western world have flown to the moon. The black man is going to start afresh, start from the beginning, and that is why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being kept there, because the colonial agents are the people who are operating the Nigerian system, and there's no how they want us to be freed. And now people have come to realize that you can see what is happening between Obi now and Atiku. Nigerians want to move forward. As simple as that. So, in the same vein, that is what we are talking about. Those who are stand up to. Okay, how come they are saying that the Hausas in the north have regained consciousness? You see, Hausa that has been dominated, that's over 60 million or thereabout or more. It's been dominated by 60 million people.
Well,
those are the facts. And that is why we have this review today. Of course, we're going to update you any moment from now on the development inside DSZ.
Thank you very much. Please like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you are watching for the very first time. And press the notification button so you'll be able to see our video whenever I upload. Remain blessed.